Murat Ibrahim, now the Chief Minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, and his colleagues as officers and members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front is aiming for the recognition of the Bangsamoro identity or self-determination, governance, as well as territory of the southern Philippines, specifically in this geographical area of Mindanao, in which most of the population are belonging to 13 ethnic groups or 13 ethnical groups of the Bangsamoro, the Maguindanao, the Tausug, the Maranao, the Iranon, Samar, Dayakan, etc.
With regards to the conflict in Mindanao, it started way back 40 years ago. It happens that the Moro people is the minoritized in Philippines. We suffered a lot of conflict because of the prolonged conflict of the Moro and the Christians in southern Mindanao. So the Moros organized their group to fight back for their independence in southern Mindanao. So the MLF was created.
The journey towards lasting peace and prosperity in the Bangsamoro has never been easy. For decades, our people have endured systematic oppression and unimaginable discrimination. Coincidentally, life comes with full circle today as our friendship with HWPL goes all the way back in 2015. HWPL Chairman Manhili invited me as chairman of the MILF, at the time engaged in peace negotiation with the Philippine government, to their annual peace conference in South Korea. I accepted and attended such conference for the first time, and that started our engagement with HWPL. Our continued engagements is of great value in promoting the spirit of peace as a faith of bringing the hearts of citizens who want peace and ending 50 years of conflict in the private sector. After almost 2 decades of negotiations with the government of the Philippines, we were able to secure a comprehensive agreement designed to address those issues that continue to haunt us to this day.
Sabing forum ginanap ang makasaysayang paglagda sa Peace Covenant ni dating Davao Archbishop Fernando Capalla at Maguindanao Governor Toto Mangondadatu. Sa pamamagitan nito, mangingibabaw na.
In fact, we established a second HWPL Peace Monument in Camp Darapanan, the administrative camp of the MILF, to demonstrate our support and cooperation to the global peace advocacy of HWPL, and likewise declared January 24 as HWPL Day of Peace.
Now therefore, the MILF hereby acknowledges the HWPL's proclamation of January 24 as Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Life Day, or HWPL Day, and extends its appreciation to the HWPL led by Chairman Manhili for initiating a global movement towards peace. Furthermore, it hopes that the message of peace, anchored on justice, be realized on a global scale.
지구촌의 전쟁 종식과 평화를 위해 국경도 인종도 종교도 초월하고 있습니다. 또 하늘의 빛과 비와 공기의 같이 많은 만물에게 생명을 주는 것 같이 이 사람도 모두 이렇게 평화의 일이 이루어지기를 노력하고 있습니다. 우리는 이 시대에 태어난 평화를 이루을 평화의 가족입니다. 평화의 세계가 이루어진다면 창조주 하나님이 이 땅에 오셔서 통치하실 것입니다. 여러분들 분쟁을 원하십니까? 평화를 원하십니까?
It gained a lot of milestones because after the signing of the agreement between the HWPL and the MILF, peace reigned in Mindanao. So somehow the agreement between HWPL and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front contributed to the realization of the establishment of the Bangsar Moro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao.
Most of the time, when there is no peace, even my place in Midsayap, North Cotabato, you can hear the barrel of the guns during night time. But now you can't hear anymore barrel of the guns. No? That is the result of the peace agreement. No? So, I hope our effort with Chairman Lee contributed to the peace process between the MILF and the Philippine government.
Peace monument is one of the important marker that the Filipino people, through this peace monument, they were able to unite. The first monument being established is in Buluan, Maguindanao. Buluan, Maguindanao is the capital of the province of Maguindanao. Governor Mangordato was the one who facilitated the establishment of that peace monument. The second peace monument was established in Camp Darapanan. The good thing with that is the chairman of the HWPL and the chairman of the MLF was the one unveiled that peace monument, witnessing by different MLF combatants, the religious leaders, and the other civil society actors. They are there to witness that.
And the MILF also agreed to put up a peace monument in their headquarters in Darapanan, somewhere in the province of Maguindanao in Mindanao.
So when I heard about Chairman Manhili went there and erected the peace monument, it's really, I would really say that I appreciated it very much, because seeing this monument of peace, people everywhere in that side of the country will be thinking about peace. So it is very encouraging, and I think they have done a great work in Mindanao.
President Rodrigo Duterte is an advocate of peace. And this was strengthened, especially when HWPL come into the picture through the effort of the government. Now, with the contribution also of HWPL, we are gaining grounds, and hopefully sustainable peace will reign in the Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte signs the landmark Bangsamoro Organic Law, or BOL, Thursday. Duterte certified the bill as urgent, paving the way for the speedy passage of the measure in Congress. The law replaces the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao with the new Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, which would have greater fiscal autonomy, a regional government, parliament, and justice system.
What happened is when HWPL and KGI agreed to put the third peace monument in Cotabato City, I talked to one of the MLF combatants who used to live here, and also part of the decommissioning in MLF. He suggests that he is willing to give his weapon in the name of peace. So that weapon is the RPG-2. RPG-2 is called it a rocket-propelled grenade by the MLF. This RPG is used to destroy the tank of the military. So he gave us that weapon, and then as a process of belting it, we show it to the people. This is how the weapons of the MLF being melted. And I think it is very important, because in the decommissioning, what the MLF and the government do is the weapon that being surrendered by the MLF was just put it in the area where it is beyond use. We ensure that the weapons being surrendered must be melted and used in something that very useful in the community. And this is how the globe in the peace monument was made. So it is very historical, this third peace monument here in the place where there is a conflict in Cotabato City. It was made of melted weapon, and that globe there is a map there, map of the Philippines and Korean Peninsula. Why we put Korean Peninsula? Because we are also wishing for the reunification of the North and South Korea. And also the Philippines is doing that. So for me, this is one way of asking, hopefully, that the Korean people can be reunited.
During New Year celebration, most of the firearms owner, police, military, usually when they were already not in good thinking, they fire their gun to create noise. So in my unit, to prevent that, so nobody will be hurt, I seal the gun and the muzzle of the gun of my men here at the airport. So they will not fire their guns and nobody will be hurt.
As a gift, I handed to Chairman Lee, we call it sickle. This is traditional and cultural equipment of our farmers. They use it when clearing or planting. So this was the gift from us to symbolize that we are willing to work with Chairman Lee on bringing peace in the Bangsamoro homeland and the entire world.
You will be treated equally as just like any other Filipino in this country.
Most of the former rebels say they will either go farming or start a small business. They all look forward to spending more time with their families and away from the fighting they have been used to, thanks to the peace agreement the MILF signed with the government in 2014.
Hello, I'm Ayi Makaraig, sitting in for Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. After 16 years, a peace agreement to end decades of fighting in Mindanao is a signature away. Both sides now enter the crucial phase of moving from the negotiating table to ground implementation.
On the 43rd round of formal negotiations, both sides sign a historic firearms deal that paves the way for the signing of a final peace agreement.
All the agreements are all substantive and very important and very, very hard.
There was a peace agreement between the government of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and that is called the Comprehensive Agreement on Bangsamoro, or what we call the CAB, during the presidency of President Benigno Simeon.
Officials on both sides announced the conclusion of talks in Malaysia. The accord marks the most significant progress in 13 years of on and off negotiations. The fighting has killed more than 120,000 people.
It was an agreement by Republic of the Philippines, the government, and the group of the MILF that the government is going to decommission the members of the MILF group. I'm saying this again, that the chairman had a big participation on the event.
Somebody coming from the outside, so that more or less the Philippine government will try to listen, so that, peace here in Mindanao at the time is very elusive. So we are very happy that HWPL, through the leadership of Chairman Lee, intervened.
And I'm also hopeful that with the discussions of Chairman Lee with Archbishop Fernando Capalla, and I see that they have also signed a memo of agreement or agreement. It is here that we see that the signatures testify that Archbishop Capalla was also very much interested to work with the HWPL for peace in Mindanao.
Because we are in an animosity between Christian and Muslim. So we have to more or less clear the gap between Muslim and Christian so that we can live together, so that we can live in harmony, so that we can live in peace. And plus that, the HWPL visited Toto Maudadat at the time. He was the governor of Maguindanao province. So I think the peace agreement, the collaboration between the religious hierarchy headed by Reverend Capalla And the leaders of Mindanao is really to do with the peace process.
When I see the pictures of holding hands between the with Chairman Lee and Honorable Toto Mangudadato, and then the bishop at the other hand, Father Cardinal Kapalya. So I see that if the Muslims, the Christians, and all other religious groups will come together for a common good, there is no war in Mindanao.
Well, during that time, 2013, this was in the middle of the presidential administration of President Benigno Aquino, the son of Ninoy Aquino. And I recall at that time, he was really very much interested also to pursue the peace process with the Muslims in Mindanao. During that time, the peace panels were meeting periodically in Kuala Lumpur and sometimes here in Mindanao. But one element, I think, of the agreement that came out eventually was also there was an international monitoring group to observe that the ceasefire was being held by both sides while the peace talks were going on. So I think that was also a good indication when we had our Conference of Bishops in Manila. We also met again Archbishop Kapalya, but also Archbishop Dampon, who was in charge. He was then the Bishop of Olong, which was a predominantly Muslim area. And I did recall we had a meal together. We welcomed the offer of working together, and we hope that, yes, to reach out to the young people will be very important, both Christian and Muslim.
양측의 대표님이 분쟁을 해라는 것을 단하게로 사인을 해야 될 것입니다. 제가 내일 그쪽으로 가려고 하는데 이제는 평화적으로 이것이 일이 만들어져야 된다고 봅니다.
It was a very inspiring effort of the chairman, because that time we are really looking for someone who can also extend help to us by means of telling the whole word, by not just uttering before the whole word, prayer also to God that someday somehow we can tend the peace, the true peace in our community. Yeah, the first was held in Jensan City with Father Kapalya, the Chairman, and other groups of HWPL. And I was so happy that time when we celebrated the peace.
Itaas niyo po ang kamay kapag gusto niyo po matupad ang kapayapaan, itaas niyo yung kamay dito.
I would like to share with you that in Mindanao there's a lot of disorder in the economic, political, social, and cultural spheres of life in Mindanao. And disorder is a situation of unpeace. So we would like to bring about order in the individual and in the community. We are your friends, we are your partners in promoting peace in Mindanao and throughout the world.
Shalom. My version at ang Arabic ay magkakatiran. Ang Christian, ang Islam, at ang Judaism. So tayong lahat ay magkaisa. Hindi dapat nag-aaway-away. Awayin natin ang mga gugulong ating kinakaharap at ipagtupad ang kapayapaan dito sa mundo. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Chairman Man Hee.
여러분들의 모습을 보니 환하게 평화가 얼굴이 드는 것 같습니다. 할 수 없는 것은 못합니다. 할 수 있는 것을 안 한다는 것은 잘못이지요. 하면 되겠죠? 여러분들 하나같이 평화를 이룰 수 있는 어떠한 답을 가지고 있는가 생각될 것입니다. 평화를 이룰 수 있는 자료가 있기 때문입니다. 많은 사람들이 평화상도 받았고 평화 일을 해왔습니다. 그러나 세상은 어떻습니까? 환란과 고통 속에 있습니다. 이 사람은 어떤 종교의 편을 드는 것도 아니고 어떤 이념의 편을 드는 것도 아닙니다. 어떤 국경을 나누고자 하는 것도 아닙니다. 하늘도 내 것이고 지구도 내 것이고 그렇지 않습니까? 우리는 이 지구촌의 한 가족입니다. 그리고 하늘의 천국과 천지 창조주를 모시고 삽시다. 정말 이 좋은 평화를 이루어서 후대의 유산을 남겨주는 게 좋은 일이겠지요. 오늘 우리 앞에 나오신 지도자분들과 함께 평화 협약을 하겠습니다.
Has been signed. And at this point,
Then after signing the peace agreement, we felt that there was really an abrupt change because of not just the group of Chairman Lee, but because when he was able to convince other groups, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the other religions,
But certainly, I was appreciative of these efforts of coming out with a formal statement like this, where from the side of the Muslims, the side of the Christians, we are working for peace together.
Well, I think that was truly historic, and it was very divine, which politicians from countries could not do, and which the government itself could not achieve. But here comes a third party, here comes a foreigner, in the person of Chairman Lee. He goes in there, he has the credibility, the integrity, and he brings it to bear, and above all, the humanity and the godliness that is required in such things. So that truly was an incredible achievement. And we need many more of that kind of interventions in places. But I would also like to strongly commend the Filipinos themselves, because if the Muslims and the Catholics did not have a mind for peace, a true yearning for peace, he would not have been able to do what he did. So they also had peace inside of them, and they yearned to have peace. And that was why it eventually happened. And a man of peace came, and they had enough peace to be able to recognize that this was a genuine man who had no hidden agenda behind what he was doing, and they listened to him.
Sa nasabing forum, ginanap ang makasaysayang paglagda sa Peace Covenant ni dating Davao Archbishop Fernando Capalla at Maguindanao Governor Toto Mangundadatu. Pagkatapos nito'y binisita at nakipagpalitan ng idea si Manhili at ang kanyang grupo sa dating presidente ng bansa at kilala ring tagapagtaguyod ng kapayapaan na si President Fidel Ramos.
Nakiisa ang mga estudyante ng Mindanao State University sa idinaos na peace walk sa lungsod. Espesyal na panauhin ng war veteran at si Maguindanao Governor Ismael Mangundadatu.
이것은 평화 협약서입니다. 가톨릭 교와 이슬람 교가 하나님 앞에서 평화의 사자와의 평화 협약서입니다.
It was broadcast in national television in the Philippines and in all broadsheets, national dailies in the country. I was amazed by it. The people appreciate it very much, and indeed, after the signing of the peace agreement, there has been no major report of hostilities and war.
You saw what war meant, is the scale and the size and the consequences defines the war. And the weapons that are also deployed in those crises also define the categories of war. The Russian war on Ukraine, as CNN puts it, is war. There's hardly any country that does not have its own internal challenges, including conflicts. So I would say yes, that in the Philippines, you don't have any more war after Chairman Lee's intervention.
Well, I think the coming of Chairman Lee, as you might say, an international friend for peace, was also appreciated by both sides. And they begin to understand that working for peace is not only a local issue, but it's also a worldwide issue.
This is indeed a huge leap towards the peace process in the world. You can say that it is just Mindanao in Philippines, in Southeast Asia, or Asian thing. But the thing is that this is a whole case study. Like two religious groups fighting for decades, and then because of some like-minded people who really wanted peace, these communities, they wanted to sort it out once and for all. And that was only done when both discussed on the table by having a mediator like HWPL. So I think that it is a huge success, and it will be quoted over and over again in the human history that Mindanao thing was resolved with a proper peace process, and how the world can learn from it. It will be quoted in future to come.
Actually, what attracted me really with the HWPL is that they are always talking about unity, world peace, and that is really something that I had to consider, because as for myself, peace really is what we need in this world. And that is the reason maybe that I had stick to them for this long time.
Thank you for your preparation and giving time, and invite you for today's warp office. The next speaker, Brother Roberto Ibrahimata.
What the HWPL doing is that we don't go into discussion and argument. We always talk about different kinds of religion, but very peacefully and very informative. So this is the different thing that I have experienced with HWPL.
The warp office, I believe, is an answer for all those who want world peace. You know why? If someone wants to have the world peace, they need to sit together. HWPL warp office did this job, calling every religious leader from all the different religions to come together, sit together, share the scriptures, talk about the scriptures, and learn from one another's scriptures. Know more about the saying, about the scriptures, their culture, their practice, their belief. And this way, if we know about one other practices, about one other scriptures, about one other cultures, we are not anymore ignorant about one another. We know. And when we know, we can work out together. I haven't seen any peacemaker group having the warp office.
Welcome to
Religious Peace Academy is a platform for discussing the scriptures of various religions. Hindu, Muslim, and Christian leaders usually meet for about 40 minutes, explaining their religions and have a 20-minute question and answer session. The target audience is not only religious leaders, but also ordinary believers, citizens, and students.
Through this Religious Peace Academy, it has obviously not only broadened my horizons, but also I have learned what are some basic worship ceremonies of other religions. The best thing about this process, more than anything else, is that you can open your heart, eliminate stereotypes, and prejudices about other religions.
In this old age of Chairman Manhili, when he going all around the world, when the people can be resting on the bed, but is working for the peace, he is spreading the seedlings of the peace all over the world through the work offices of HWPL. There are many things that I see that makes me appreciating HWPL work. I haven't seen any peacemaker group having some special work like a peace education, especially for the children in the schools, that I have seen only with HWPL.
I am currently volunteering in HWPL as a peace education teacher, and I also supervise the establishment of the first peace monument here in the northern region of the Philippines.
This park consisting of the Peace Garden, Peace Monument, the playground. Usually in our community, there's no playground. The idea about the Peace Park and the playground was from the children who are studying peace education class. The Peace Monument in Barangay Foz was a fourth peace monument all over the Philippines, and first peace monument in Luzon area. The land where the peace monument is being erected was donated by the parents who let their children to study peace education, because these parents wants the best for their children, and we also want to let the children to have a safe and peaceful place to play and study. And what made it more special was when this peace monument project resolved the conflict between the two families having the conflict, and these two families used to fight who should own that specific land. This peace monument and peace park, the playground, it became a catalyst to work hand in hand together as one community.
Voice of Peace Philippines is a volunteering program of HWPL here in the Philippines that was in the middle of the pandemic, month of August 2020, when HWPL conducted a training for 60 volunteer teachers all over the country. So I am one of those who received the training to teach peace education at this challenging time. So that was when I've got to know HWPL, and I've learned Chairman Lee also, who is the founding chairman of HWPL all over the world. World Peace, I only hear it from the pageant or Miss Universe, or I don't mind anything. I only focus what is my goal, what is my dream, to be successful in life. But then when I attended and joined the training, I became more aware what is happening around me. I became aware that there is war, there are conflicts, there are violence, and we need to make something. We need to do something to make this violence and war stop. And that is true peace education.
Ano ulit? For kindness.
We started our lesson in that was month of October 2020. We met once a week, every Saturday, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. There are 15 enrolled students in peace education class, and there were 4 parents who are joining, putting their children in the class. We usually do our class in Barangay Foz. We ride a tricycle, who owned by a parent here in Lumban. age range, there are from 7 to 17 years old.
Being a commissioner of the Commission on Higher Education of the Philippines, I am handling 25 state universities and colleges. The mandate of the Commission on Higher Education is to see to it that higher education is run according to world standards and that we regulate our state universities and colleges by coming up with policies, standards, and guidelines for them to observe in order that quality education will be taught among students in all these state universities and colleges, including those with the private higher education institutions, as well as those with the local universities and colleges. So that is the main mandate of the Commission on Higher Education. We have a good partnership between HWPL and CHED, the Commission on Higher Education in the Philippines. In fact, in 2018, we entered into a memorandum of agreement. Chairman Manhili personally came here in my office in CHED, in the Commission on Higher Education, and we forged an agreement on the promotion of the culture of peace through education. That's why, as a fulfillment of that agreement, we tried to flesh out the possibility of trying to integrate peace education into the higher education curriculum. So that's why in 2019, the Commission on Higher Education passed a CHED memorandum agreement. These days, we have already established the framework for which peace education is being integrated in the curriculum of higher education institutions. And major part of this peace education is taken from the peace education framework of HWPL. Almost all higher education institutions in the Philippines, particularly the state universities and colleges, are starting to integrate peace education into their the curriculum. That's why we train the faculty on the nuances of peace, and for that matter, the higher education institution in the country, numbering to for the state universities and colleges. These are the government-run higher education institutions, numbering to 110 of them, 110 state universities and colleges, and close to 1,000 or 1,000 private higher education institutions, and more than 100 also local universities and colleges. So these are the coverage of the operation of CHED. And students to this in these higher education institutions are more or less, close to 4 million students in our higher education institutions. Hopefully, by next year, we will be able to cover all the students in the higher education institutions as far as teaching peace education is concerned. We created a technical working group, and HWPL is part of the technical working group in crafting the syllabi, the programs for peace, for integration in all higher education institutions throughout the country.
Before the implementation of peace education in our school, we had the training already, 3 successive training that equip our peace education teachers to be able to teach effectively and efficiently. Every Friday is HWPL Day. Why? Because we had the practice of several activities in line with HWPL. We have essay writing, we have photojournalism, contest, aside from the slogans and spoken poetry and essay that we usually have. In fact, the letter of our Chairman Lee becomes a part of our testing material for all levels. Questions are asked in different ways: easy, average, difficult. They are looking forward for Friday, so we are very proud that during Friday we are wearing that blue t-shirt. Blue for us means hope, so hoping for everything positive that will happen, that HWPL will be very instrumental for making the impossible possible.
It was 20 years ago, I think, the peace education being introduced to the Department of Education was being handled by the OPAP, from the Office of the President. Until now, the OPAP is existing, and they are also have programs about peace. And during that time, 20 years ago, we were able to make lesson exemplars on integrating peace education. But for today, after the curriculum was changed into K-12, so lesson exemplars were not being utilized now. So we are so happy, and I really appreciated and excited when HWPL offered me the 12 lessons. In Cotabato City, we have a very diverse culture. That's why I suggested and recommended that it will be conceptualized since the people here are so sensitive, especially the Muslims, when it comes to religion, they are so very hesitant or very sensitive to accept these modules. So I have read this, and it's a universal lesson, and I am motivated to make such decision in signing a memorandum of agreement between the HWPL and the MOA. Is all about to establish a framework of cooperation between the HWPL in achieving cessation of war. In Cotabato City, all schools are mandated. We have almost 2,000 teachers in Cotabato City and 58,000 students in public schools and 30,000 plus in the private schools. And they are all mandated in our memorandum, not only in the division level, but also from the national level, that we have to integrate peace education in all subjects they are teaching, because values can be taught. So teachers are encouraged to integrate the peace lessons in all subjects. We are evaluating all the contextualized lessons that are anchored to the 12 peace lessons, because in our division, we have the quality assurance team who is checking and reviewing all these 12 peace lessons. And their program in peace educations is very good. And the themes revolve from self to giving importance to nature.
HWPL have its three main initiatives, namely the Law for Peace, second is the Harmony of Religion, and third is the Peace Education. All these initiatives are reflected inside the 10 articles and the 38 clauses of the Declaration of Peace and Cessation of War, or the DPCW. Particularly, we are lobbying to the national and local government units to pass a resolution strongly supporting the DPCW. Up to now, we have received resolutions of support from Davao City, Cotabato City, and Municipality of Capalong, Davao del Norte. Currently, we are working with the Philippine Christian University College of Law to integrate DPCW in their law subjects. Furthermore, we are creating peace corners, peace rooms in the libraries and museums so that the students can have access to HWPL published materials.
The 2022 IPYG Virtual Dance Competition with the theme Dance for Peace is a joint project between IPYG and the Rotary Club of Manila Metro. Now, the main purpose of their performance is to convey to the audience the importance of peace and also to amplify the campaign for the legalization of peace through the Declaration of Peace and the Cessation of War, which is the DPCW. So there were 212 dance groups that were registered, composed of 1,910 youth from the ages of 16 to 30 years old. On July 7th, 2022, the final competition was held via online through live streaming, and the top 5 dancers competed in the grand finals. So we can see through their dance movements, they have carried out the message of the transition from state of war to the state of peace and the vital role of DPCW to achieve sustainable peace.
By the way, in relation to this declaration of January 24 as a peace day in the province of Mindanao, I also did my own initiative in the Commission on Higher Education. I introduced a proposal wherein to declare January 24 as National Peace Day. This was approved by the Commission and it was sent to the Office of the President. And the President in turn submitted it to the Office of the Peace Process, which is now under study. I hope and pray that this will be approved and that January 24 will also be a peace day for the entire country in the Philippines.
Some people say that it's a dream. It's a dream that peace will never happen here. It is possible to wish One seems to be like it will never be enough, but if we come as one, can you hear it's finally here? Coming near, there's no need to fear. Get on your feet, feel the beating heart that's beating for the peace. Finally, made it clear, we never say never. Can you hear it's finally here? Coming near, there's no need to fear. Get on your feet, feel the beating heart that's beating for the peace. Finally, we are seeing, we are shining more than ever. We are one. We are one. We are one. We are one.
Scattered dreams and hearts of ours, we have always been the victims of the wars, but never hesitate to stand up for the peace, 'cause we're the ones to bring it back. I show you a miracle, trust me.
One seems to be like it will never be enough, but if we come as one, can you hear it's finally here? Coming near, there's no need to fear. Get on your feet, feel the beating heart that's beating for the peace. Finally, we are seen, we are shining more than ever. We are one. We are one. We are one. The one will never make it through, as one is surely make it come true. Let us shine, so the world will never be darkened anymore. Unite together, there's nothing we can do. We will never